4:01, we'll call the meeting to order. Thank you so very much for your time today. Meeting minutes, I did not see any sent out from the last one, Riley, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we will move on to the budget. Anything you want to discuss for 2020?
No, if there are any questions, the request from Ann Wiest was to maintain the lines as level.
Okay.
And so I did do that.
Why don't we let him know we can hear something?
I think it was just, I think Amanda was, she just killed the mic, so we're.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that was an echo of me, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the request was to keep all the line items level, and I didn't exactly adhere to that. I recently requested a pay increase for each of my 2 assistants, and it was granted, and it's small because the pay scale is quite low over there anyway. But I included that and made some adjustments in other columns so that the total item number is the same.
For next year?
Going into next year.
Okay.
Yeah, just some of the employee pay is a little higher and some of the other categories are slightly lower.
So do we feel we're gonna have a significant carryover from this year's budget?
We may still have that.
Because, we're at, what, 63% of what we've budgeted for so far?
Yeah, and
So still 26,000 left?
And I'm a little apprehensive about that because it's challenging to not spend it, and it feels like we've worked pretty hard to build up a cushion. But on the other hand, I don't want to just spend money just to spend money. I don't want to do that.
So is there like a major capital purchase that?
We may come into some expensive items pretty soon.
Okay.
Because, this gets a little out of order from the agenda, okay?
I guess everybody's okay with that, we're fine with that, I think.
Okay, but if we look at this brief outline sheet that Jason forwarded to everyone today, do you have a copy of this?
I got it, I did get it, I
All
didn't
right.
bring it with me.
All right, so the key for this sheet as it applies to the question that you just asked, Jason, is that every time we do this, we find something, and we find ways that we can improve it both with our own workflows and with equipment that we have. And there are the question of a hotspot has come up more than once and from more than one direction, and we think it's a good idea, and we've done a good amount of research into it, and we found out that there are things you can do with hotspots, but they're generally not the most reliable things. We can step up to something that's very reliable and that we can count on to deliver a good product 90% of the time, but then it becomes an expensive item. And beyond that, we'd really be at buying cameras and buying things and this and that, and I'm not sure that we really, I don't know what to say.
What kind of price point are we at on that item?
Oh,
Because I think that's,
it's like a $1,500 thing.
For that.
Plus a data for the box. It interfaces with, it does the job of interfacing between the data plan, the mobile data and its coding, and internet coding. And it does it in a more sophisticated way than a simple hotspot that you would do to put up Facebook Live with your phone.
I don't know how anybody else feels, but it seems like a small payment
Relatively.
to get it done and where we need to be in order to do the programming that we want to do, especially when we're sitting with, $26,000 that we still have to spend.
Plus some of last year's carryover. We're gonna have a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe we should consider,
Can we buy 2?
I guess we could, but
Do we need
what
to?
are we gonna do with 2?
Yeah, I'm just, curious on those things.
Frankly, I think we'd be just as well off, maybe better off. No, to really seriously consider a substantial wage increase with people here, because the wage that the channel pays is really low. And the technical skills that are required to successfully do these things are a lot higher than the wage scale.
Can we get that? Can we see that for next time we meet, so we have an idea what that's at and how those things
Let's
go?
do that. I'll bring that in.
Because, you know, we would be scheduled the meeting in November, but I think that'd be something we'd like to see probably in October,
Okay,
before, council goes to budget.
and I know I can't just wave a wand and have it done, but since this budget does operate somewhat outside the general fund, I think it might be something that could be easily accomplished. It could be, the council could be convinced that it's a thing that should happen. Because really you're asking for professional level skills at high school summer job wages. And right now, there's a confluence of events where I have some talented people. But if we ever get back to normal, they're gonna get better work and be gone, and then where are we?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, a question about going back to the hotspot. So, I remember we talked about it last meeting, and you had just alluded to that it's been something you've been talking about for a while.
Yes?
Can you explain to me, being new, and maybe to anyone who might be watching, so how do we go ahead and approve, why haven't we bought this? Is this something that, because it wasn't budgeted, it needs a special motion to approve? What are the processes to go forward if this is something that's gonna help with programming?
Okay, to answer in order, we haven't gotten it yet because, well, there was some question at the beginning about having a data plan for the channel, because it would require a cellular data plan for it to work in the first place. That's been solved. The next reason that we haven't is because hotspots typically are not reliable. They work most of the time. They'll work for low bandwidth things like your phone and your phone video and phone audio. They'll be okay for that. But we're trying to do something better than that, and they're not reliable for that. So by this point, we've done enough research that we have an idea of what to buy. So that, I hope that answers your question about why we haven't done it yet.
And so the cost of $1,500 is to get you what you would want, and what would it be that you could do different with it?
At that point then, if we had good cellular coverage someplace, then we could have a good quality web stream with good quality video, not a 640 by 320 thing from your phone, but real video quality like a 1920 by 1080. And we could do it someplace where there isn't Wi-Fi available or a hard internet connection available. And we could do it reliably. So that
And give an example of something that might have happened or that you envision using this for.
High school football at Berlin. An event at the Village Green that maybe we could live stream, but there's no Wi-Fi around and there's no hard internet connection. An event at Barlow Park. An event really anywhere where we don't have immediately available Wi-Fi or a hard internet connection.
Got it. Thanks,
That's what it does.
that's helpful.
Yeah, and so, really the holdup has been trying to find out that we spend the money correctly, instead of just throw a couple $100 at something and then find out that doesn't work, and then we've lost it.
And then another question going to staffing, if you don't mind. It seems as though that part of the programming of the Ripon channel is limited because there are so many events. Well, I know during COVID there's not as many events, but typically there's quite a few events around the community, and that takes time for someone to actually be at.
Yes.
So when we talk about raising the salaries, is there, there's one thing of, I guess are they their salary, or are they by hour?
Well, they get paid by the hour.
So if it's, is there a cap to how many per hours that they can have? Because I could imagine if folks are out and about more, their pay would be quite a bit higher, you know, if we can send them out more. Is that part of it? Is it raising it per hour, which I understand is probably an issue that would be helpful for those folks, but also allowing them to go out more so that they can get more footage and therefore having more pay?
Well, I need to keep them below 20 scheduled hours, because other
Per
things.
month, per week?
Oh, per week, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm sorry, per week. Because above that point, if they're scheduled for more than that, then other things, other benefits and other conditions kick in that really drive the cost up,
Mhm.
okay? Which, I guess if we looked at it hard enough, maybe that's not a big issue. Especially as long as everyone there is a part-time employee. We don't have any full-time employees.
Right.
So, I don't think that scheduling people for the hours is a big problem, because really, the people that are here are willing to do these things. It's, the apprehension that I have is that I feel like we're not paying a wage that's commensurate with the professional skills that are required. And they've already been moved up to the top of the scale. I mean, it should be twice that.
Okay.
I don't think we can get to twice that, but it really needs to move.
And is that comparable to other community local access channels and their wages?
The wage survey that Lori did and a separate wage survey that WCM did at approximately the same time determined that Ripon sets the low end of the scale.
Okay.
In the state of Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, then that's definitely something that we need to take a look at.
Yeah.
Should we look back at what Lori, this survey that you're talking about, should that be part of our next
I would love to see that.
agenda?
Yeah.
Is that something
Okay.
you can get a?
I'll assemble those materials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, anything else on budget? Any questions for the folks that are joining us via Zoom? Everybody staying on mute, cool. Okay.
Good.
Well, one other question about equipment, because you had said last time, I think, Riley, and we were gonna look into this, over at the college to stream games, that there wasn't, maybe what you had hoped for, to be able to do that. Is there any equipment or anything that needs to be communicated regarding that?
Well, this new cellular thing would take care of that issue.
It could do that, this could do that, and it would use data, but that's just more like an operating expense. If there were an Ethernet switch there that we can hard plug into, like it's wired and connected to the college's internet, the Red Hawk internet, and there's a switch port that we can plug into and get some bandwidth, that's what we need.
Okay.
I didn't get back to you about that, did I?
No, but that's okay.
I'm
And
sorry.
you can still do that, but I took a note now, so, sounds good. Thanks, Riley.
Yeah.
All right, so that is a look at the 2020 budget as we move forward. So, yeah, we can just get that information on salaries and then our next steps on maybe acquiring that piece of equipment that you want, and what we need to look for our 2021, if there's anything that we need
Good. And
for our next meeting.
and also, as a part of our continuing evaluations, I can update about wants and needs that we may have for this year.
Great.
Yeah, so our next meeting, we'll kind of comprehensively look at that before things go to budget?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think so.
Because I also wonder if there's any other programming, because I'm new to this, you know, through that, it would be helpful to contract out, you know, I don't know if there's other entities that do programming that would be interesting to show. And if that's something that has ever been looked at, or,
Yeah, it's one of the things I actually have on my list to talk about coming up in the 2021 programming.
Oh,
stuff,
good,
And
good.
I've got a couple of notes that I've got written down for just some ideas and things that we can maybe
That's
take a
great.
look at, so.
so a little bit there.
I'm noticing, and it's all simple stuff, it's nothing, and nothing that I think would actually be a significant financial cost. It's just some options that we might have available to us,
Great.
so.
Good.
So we'll move on to the reporting side of things, programming updates. Riley, if you just wanna mention a few things.
Right, well, we'll walk through this sheet. As we're all aware, event programming has been severely limited everywhere, events and all of that has gone virtual. We have recorded one high school baseball game this summer when they had an abbreviated season, and it was moderately successful. It mostly gave us some education about what we may need to do going forward to put together better baseball broadcasts. And we did show it a few times. We have collaborated with two nonprofit music presenters in the area, and this has met a long-standing item on my wish list to start incorporating more music into the offerings on the Ripon channel, and specifically on 987. And so this confluence of events has created an opportunity to live stream and record shows at Thrasher Opera House and also at the Heist. And we've produced, to date this summer, we've produced 9 shows, and we're getting better every time. We feel like the quality is quite good. We're very proud of the quality of what we're doing there, and we're generating fresh content for the Ripon channel, and we're helping to support area nonprofit arts presenters that help support other businesses. People come to see a show, it puts a head in a bed, it puts a seat in maybe at the sidewalk cafe or at the takeout of the restaurant. And we feel good about what we're doing, and we have plans to continue that through the end of the year.
So
And
where are they? Like, they're live stream at that particular event, right?
we're streaming them at the event and recording them as well.
Okay, then where do they go?
And then they're
Because
on,
I've checked our page, nothing there on those. I've checked Thrasher's page, nothing there. Heist, nothing there.
they're not, the live streams are being sold by the venues as virtual tickets. So they're streaming, the Thrasher shows are streaming through Thrasher's YouTube page for a
Private
ticket.
link.
For a ticket with an unlisted link.
Correct.
And the Heist shows are streaming through the Ripon channel's YouTube page with an unlisted link. And they're being rebroadcast on the hard cable on 987.
Okay.
So these aren't something that we can promote then after the fact, correct? Or
Well, I
just
think,
trying to
well, I
get a
think we
sense
can
of
promote them
what
after
I
the,
can promote and what I can't promote from that side of it, because that's gold for me from a content side.
oh, we can, I'm sure we can arrange a way to do that. What do you need us to do?
Open up the link.
All right,
Yeah.
we can load them back up and put the link up there. I'll talk to Rachel. I don't think Sam is gonna have a problem with doing that, because the show is
Okay.
over. Rachel shouldn't have a problem with that, because,
Once the show is over, I think since we're the entity producing, and we're putting our dollars, I'm assuming, into paying personnel to cover that event and to do that thing.
yeah,
And
we're
then,
doing.
and then
with
those
our
entities
regular
are selling a
production costs.
ticket and making money themselves.
Right,
We should get that content.
that's okay.
And,
Yeah, or even like a piece of it, like you don't have to get the full amount of the entire length of the production, but
Yeah,
if
that's
there's like
pretty long.
snippets or 2 or 3 minute clips that we can kind of re-promote from that side of it, that would be great from our standpoint.
All
I
right,
get that they're a business as well and they're promoting the events and people may wait until afterwards to share it, but there's something we can use from that, I think it's great.
and we've been focusing on the fact that not all of the community is a cable subscriber.
Right,
So not being able to see those on 987, and then having the ability to go back and say, hey, let's watch these, that's our obligation, I think. That for us is, you know, the content that we want.
works for me.
And again, like I said, I understand they have to make a dollar and those kind of things too, and, but if we're putting our money into it, and with our equipment and our personnel, and then we don't get anything to show in return outside of the 987 in the street at night, I think we're missing out, you know?
Okay, we'll send it to Whit too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say that
All right,
that would be, you know,
I agree,
beneficial for our
I agree.
I agree.
watchers.
I agree too. I guess we've been busy enough with the production and and some of them, there's been some post-production on some of it.
Sure.
And so between those two things, it's been
But I would say
time
within,
consuming
you know,
enough, and
a
I
week,
guess I just didn't think about it.
you know, a week would be probably a fair enough time if somebody wanted to go in and check it out, you know, and it all depends on how
Right,
the performers feel about that too, and there may be some, you know,
right.
kind of contract obligations that they can't do that, but, you know, that's something Rachel can handle, or,
That would be in the future. For these shows, I don't think there's any of that.
okay,
The Thrasher unlisted links come down in a day.
Right.
So you buy the ticket, you see the show, and it's done. So, now that it's ancient history, yes. Or relatively speaking,
Yeah,
it's
within a
ancient
week.
history, it's been,
Yeah.
it's been a month.
excuse me.
I don't know where this fits in then with the agenda and the discussion, because it kind of fits in some of the areas we just talked about. But thinking about Whitney and the social media, what we just talked about, putting some of these things out there, you know, I think we talked about this last time too, is how do we get the word out, which is what you're saying about the YouTube page and our social media. You know, these, to what Whitney was saying, you know, she can use this, as she said, it was gold. Is there any costs associated with budgets that we want to put into more of our presence online, whether it's advertising, is that
Read
part
my
of
notes
it?
later.
Yeah, well, I didn't know where that fit in, because we already talked about budget, right? So this is good, okay, I'll wait.
These are all my chicken scratches that I
This is
kind of have
fantastic,
down,
Jason.
you know, written down for a little bit later or two, so.
Good,
um,
good.
So that's something we can, I guess, talk about then too, so.
Okay, well,
Kind of
just,
wanted that planning and programming thing, so.
so one more brief note on
Yeah.
this. Because even though things have been disrupted, there was an agreement that the Ripon channel would take up the slack of event programming that wasn't being produced outside when we changed the provider contract. And with these shows, we will have produced at least 18 event programs outside our normal meetings and forums and other things that we do. So we won't be all the way there, but we feel pretty good about that in the age of COVID. And it's important for me to point out that these are productions that are substantially more involved than a single camera pointing at a speaker for an hour. So I feel like we're generating a substantially higher level of content by doing this. The long period of time to ramp up to this is really starting to pay off.
Yeah, we're in our second year of doing it, really, essentially.
And
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you've seen any of them, but they're starting to look and sound very good.
Yeah. Great. All right, that's programming, anything in operations that we need to discuss? I suppose we should just say operations, legislative update, and feedback from the public, any of those coming to the surface?
I think there are some members of the public that wish we were doing some more sports. So
Or
when there
that
are
as
some
well,
more,
but what are you gonna do?
when there are some more sports to do,
Right. Right, it's really tough to cover a cross-country meet
right,
and some of those things,
or high school tennis.
yeah. Yeah, it's difficult at times on those, so. All right, anything else, does anybody have any questions on some of the reports or anything? Anybody clicked off here? Oh, just me talking, all right. Whitney, social media and website update, if you could just maybe address a few things?
I think the report went out to you guys. If not, I can send it over for the month. The Twitter page and then the Facebook page. Very small amount of increases, but still increases for subscribers, followers for Twitter, and then we kind of stayed consistent as far as the Facebook page goes. Unfortunately, just some small decreases over the averages from last month to this month or actually it would be July and August. July had a pretty decent amount as far as average time for watch time and views. So we're a little bit more on the decrease because of that, but nothing too outrageous to kind of to note. So staying steady, pretty consistent from that side of it for YouTube. And then as far as the Twitter page goes, some small increases in profile visits and getting those impressions out. And for the Facebook page too, just some small decreases, unfortunately, from last month or July month to August month. So the more new content, fresh content I can provide, more from a proactive standpoint than a reactive standpoint of when we're going live for stuff, that would be great. So I think, Riley, if I could just kind of communicate with you on probably a better basis once you've got things rolling for certain events or coverage planning. Once things turn around, hopefully I can get a better idea for social media side. So
Okay,
Whitney, I got a website question for you, if you could.
absolutely.
Is there a way for us to get the schedule that either Riley sends to the paper or that document, or create a Google Calendar that we can link directly to the page? So when you log onto the homepage of it, it says, here's what's playing either today or here's what's playing this week on the Ripon channel.
Yes,
Because you gotta search to find that stuff. And it's,
You
it's super confusing at times.
and it's on the city website, or where's the?
Usually I think you send it to the paper.
it's on the city website. We're not sending to the paper anymore
Okay.
since their reorganization. They don't have space for our schedule
So
anymore.
then realistically, if they don't go to the city website, nobody's gonna see it.
Right, well, it's on the channel itself.
It's on the, again, if they don't get the channel though.
If they don't get the channel and they're not looking at the city website, they're not gonna see it.
To me, I think if we have that weekly listing of things that are available
That would be awesome.
on the
Alright.
page,
From my standpoint.
All right,
and then we can share that on our socials every week as well too.
I don't know if I'm copied on that because I haven't seen anything roll through, but if
We'll add
you
you.
can start doing that, that would be fantastic from my end, because then I can have a little bit more shared from, like I can kind of almost create a template that I can copy paste, put in there for Facebook and for the Twitter account too. So
Wait, if you ever check out like the Oshkosh media page, the Oshkosh community page,
I haven't in a while, but I can.
they have a good little view on the right-hand side. It says, hey, here's the schedule for today on all 3 of their different channels that they've got, their government channel, their life channel, and then whatever else they're doing. It's just a little calendar listing on the right-hand side that says, here's what's playing today, and it's
For
super
sure.
handy, so.
And if it's on a weekly basis and it's something that I can go into the website and update from that end too, that's totally fine for
Right.
me. So,
And I'm just looking at ways that we can populate that, and then also the Facebook and the social side at the same time, because if somebody doesn't know where to go to look for it, you know. An error for me that I didn't know was in the paper anymore, so, you know, tells you that about searching.
no, that would be great from my standpoint, so.
Good ideas. Going back to the paper, I know it sounds like they communicated that they can't publish it. What about on their webpage? Can they put a link or can they publish anything? Has that question been asked of our local Ripon Press paper?
I don't think that question has been asked since they've changed their ownership and their physical location. I can ask Jonathan that.
Okay,
And we do have a link on the chamber page that links into the Ripon channel that says, you know, here's information on it and those kind of things. But like I said, we can have that schedule available right on the front page.
Right.
When we're on the Ripon channel, then we know what's coming up, and, you know, somebody be looking for, okay, when's the next council meeting? I mean, even if you have a calendar, you know, whatever, however we may do it, but, whatever works, just to get it out there and informing, so.
Yeah, if anything, I can always have just a button on the website too that brings it to that schedule listing of the city too. So when in doubt, if things aren't, from an updated standpoint, at least they know where to go from their Ripon channel site, so.
Cool. Anything else for me, Whitney?
I don't think so, because I don't think so, unless you have anything for me. Oh, wait, I do. I know we talked about at the last meeting, something about a call out for community and getting their involvement
Sure.
as far as like, is it publishing videos and submitting them to the Ripon channel? I'm just not sure from that standpoint what we want to promote.
Right. And I think that's something we still need to maybe flesh out a little bit more. I know we've
Right.
talked about it a few times and to see if that's a possibility on some stuff, so.
I think we do want to promote the community camera idea, because one of the other things that we've accomplished this summer is that we've finally fully restored our message board function
Good.
that we lost last December when the server failed, and it's a little improved now too. So
Awesome.
we'd be able to easily drop in short community submissions as part of the message board. And they wouldn't need to be regularly scheduled like a more traditional full-length program.
Mhm.
If somebody has a 60 or 30 or 22-second video, we can put that in without too much trouble.
And it could be anything, I mean, as long as it's broadcast worthy.
Right, hi, here I am in Ripon. Look at my skateboard.
I'll be honest with you, I tried to do some research and run across some different community access channels, and
Let's see.
I saw some programming like, we know you've been recording all your game playing this summer, so send us that video. Like, people playing video games, because people watching people playing video games is a big deal,
It
and,
actually,
you know, and
yes.
so they're like sending local cable access channels their Fortnite games or whatever it is, their video of it, and they're playing them back, and I guess they're doing really well with it. So it's kind of really an open book as to what, you know, could be in there. Like I said, as long as it's, you know, good for broadcast and, you know, meets certain parameters, is we would need to set those, but.
Sure.
Right, if the
And that's
language,
something that can be put on the website too, and I don't know if you can filter in the submissions that way, what
Sure.
if if I create a form on there that has, you know, the certain requirements that it's supposed to meet or whatever, but that's another option to include on the website
Where do we
too.
go with that though? If they submit them electronically, do we have is the server big enough here at the city hall email offers to handle a 100 megabit or 2 gigabit program or something like that?
oh, yes,
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, we have a good amount of storage space yeah, we have some storage.
Okay.
No, these are awesome.
All right, anything else on social media and website? All right, hearing none, I'll move on to the 2021 planning and programming stuff. So I just kind of scratched out a bunch of ideas, but they just to kind of throw towards some things. I know there's opportunities and programming available through Wisconsin Community Media, right?
Yes,
So if, I'm assuming you guys have a login and all those kind of things.
of course.
Is that anything that we've ever considered running some of their programs,
We,
just to fill some space?
yes, we have,
Okay,
and, yeah, some of them are good,
okay.
and,
And so it's just basically, you know, there's content that are available, I'm not sure how regularly it gets updated.
you know, well, it gets updated when somebody puts something up.
Right, right,
But, yeah, we've used some of their things in the past, and as an aside, we have several, Veterans Administration PSAs going on our virtual channel at the moment.
Okay.
So, as an example of something like that.
sure.
Please go ahead.
No, and then I want to talk about boosted posts on our Facebook and our social, just to kind of maybe drive that audience growth a little bit more. Like, how much can we dedicate, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot, and obviously Whitney can provide the analytics as to like a price point that would be beneficial for us, but just to get more people kind of aware of what's going on and what's happening with us, I think that's something we might need to take a look at. And I'm not sure what we have budgeted for any kind of advertising for 2021, or if that would roll under maybe just under contractual services with an additional thing with a payment to Whitney on those things, or however we would do that ourselves in-house. But it's not like the city probably gives you guys a credit card and says, hey, you can do a boosted post or anything like that, I'm sure.
It's probably not like that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering.
I mean, I do have a discretionary limit, but,
Right,
but,
but it's just nothing you can add in and say, you know, we wanna boost this post for $20 to get a better audience, you know, we're gonna have to do some.
well, if it's a relatively low number like that, we can do that.
Yeah, and I think Whitney, you know, $20 is probably a decent amount that we can post at a boost to get some.
Yeah, we can get creative with whatever we envision for promoting from that promoting side. It doesn't even have to be Facebook specific either. We could look into possibly, you know, the YouTube or Google or something along the lines of the Twitter as well, because you're getting some traction on the engagement on the Twitter side of it too. So yeah, I'm game with, you know, whatever we can use to help promote and push out for the Ripon channel. I'm supportive of that for sure.
Like that idea, okay.
So some of the money that we just talked about, we have right now before the end of this fiscal year, that's not something that we can use right now?
I think it's probably something.
Let's not.
Well, you just talked about there was some extra money for this fiscal year, and we're also talking about we are challenged to get our social media out there. I mean, could we be using some of those funds right now?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah, we could,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
the
I think,
answer is yes.
I think if we develop that community camera and then maybe utilize the post stuff that way, to say, hey, here's a new option for people to create content if you wanna be, you know, get your content seen. I mean, that's where you wanna boost that stuff, cause then you can snag some of that community camera stuff that's maybe already come in and put together a quick highlight reel of what you're looking for, you know, here's what's come in, you know, and kind of do those things to keep them updated, so I think it could be a good piece for us. Alright,
Kind of just let me know if there's a general budget that you guys are, I guess, comfortable with, and then I can help create like a game plan and a layout for how we want to promote it best, and you kind of use that build up. So if we want to do the community, I would have a lot of examples or people that are willing to kind of volunteer and help from that side of it, just to share and get the ball rolling. But yeah, totally game.
promos on air, how often, if ever, are they done? In terms of like, maybe a 15-second video cut of, you know, hey, you know, join us for Ripon College sports, or we've got, you know, performance from the heist and those kind of things. Outside of those programs, do we ever do them? Do we ever run them outside of a message board?
No,
Okay. Is it just too much work to go with it, or how does the time, again, come back to, you know, payment of our people?
I think that they'd be, well, we just haven't assigned people to do those specific things, is what it amounts to. And I think that, see, having the message board back in its current format, where it enables video and easily enables video,
Right.
that's really fresh, that's within the last week. And that's now a format where it operates more as a virtual channel, and dropping in a video clip like that is a lot easier than it is to schedule it in the middle of a long program day. And I think it probably gets seen more regularly too.
Right. You know, whether it be a 30-second spot or a 30-second promo or.
Right, and we can do those things with phones.
Yeah, yeah, super easy
Sure.
on that front. And to me personally, I think, you know, we talked about the outside roaming, actually doing like the 18 different things. A promo for each one of those would be great. You know, you're done shooting it, you take care of it, you drop together a 30-second promo, maybe with some video and just some text on it, and, you know, throw it in as possible. Again, I don't know the technical requirements of how that possibility could happen, but it's just something that kind of bubbles up.
They can happen, these are great ideas. You know, another thing we really ought to think about is it gets back to expanding the staffing, expanding the pay and expanding the staffing and the positions.
Mhm.
Because these are all great ideas, and we have enthusiasm for doing them, and they take a lot more time than people sometimes think.
Absolutely, understand.
And by the time we've produced the shows and done the basics for all these things, we're just about out of time. And since we do have some headroom in the budget, perhaps we should think about seriously expanding the hours that are available for people to work there and putting some of the money into those resources.
I would think that would.
Because our equipment's in pretty solid shape, and currently the talent's in pretty good shape, so let's put the two together.
Agreed. Finally, the only other thing that I had is, with so many people maybe moving to the Zoom meetings like our things, is there capability for us to include those in our broadcast as well? If people present, via Zoom, how do we get that into our broadcast? Or like we would have, the people that are on today via Zoom would be able to, be a part of it even though we're in here.
We had good success with the Ripon School District Board meetings when they were virtual. They recorded the meetings and we showed them as part of regular broadcast. They worked out just fine. And we anticipate that the Center for Politics and the People event that's coming up Thursday this week, that will be, Brian said we can use that recording, and we don't see that there's gonna be any technical difficulty with it.
Is that something we can do in-house as well, or is that just they have their own systems to handle that,
Well,
to record?
if you're having a Zoom meeting, there is a function where you can record it.
Exactly.
And so, just record the meeting and then we can, if you let us use it, we'll use it.
Okay.
So question about that, could that be something, so one, should we promote it, can we show it live?
If we were there to stream it, and if we go a little farther with some of our capabilities, we think we're pretty close.
Okay.
We think, we haven't really tried it yet. We're maybe, either finding unknown capabilities and equipment that we have, or a couple of small pieces of equipment away from being able to remotely send a signal back here to the studio and show it live on the cable channel at the same time, we think.
So you couldn't just tap in as a participant?
Oh, and record it?
Yeah.
I guess we could. Sure,
Right.
sure. Sure, if we assign somebody to attend a Zoom meeting and sign in and be at the Zoom meeting, then we could do that. Yeah.
I mean, because how did you do the school board meetings? That was different?
Jolene recorded it and
So they weren't live?
no, we weren't showing it live. We were showing
Okay.
it taped
They
delay.
were, okay.
Yes. Well, digital delay.
Right.
Tape. Funny how that word tape still hangs out.
Yeah. So I guess, this is Thursday. I guess I bring it back up again because if this is something, the neat thing about being able to do it live is that Whitney could be putting this out on our social media, tune in, and it helps to get our channel, our social media out there. Whereas after the fact, it's, if you happen to see our webpage, now you can look at this now. I don't know, I feel like there's some good work that we could be doing to promote that this is gonna be debuted.
I think we could.
But I don't know how that works now.
I feel good about well, we do have a League of Women Voters candidate forum here on Thursday, along with several other meetings. There's a full schedule of city meetings in this building on Thursday afternoon. So, wedging in the Center for Politics and People as a live Zoom event might be more than we can actually do on the same day.
Yeah.
Whitney, can you stream more than one live program on YouTube at a time?
I don't know if you can,
Okay, I was curious about that.
technically.
Yeah, I was curious about that. You'd be able to do it with a private link, I think, and then
Maybe,
similar to
but
like a
yeah,
paid
I would,
ticket.
I think because you own that channel and you're the one going live, I don't think there's an option to do multiple.
Yeah.
Right,
Just curious.
yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But it
Maybe
wouldn't
it's
be,
$1 million idea.
yeah.
We can.
It'd be really cool. It wouldn't be at the same time though, but
There you
what we're
go.
talking about, it's a lot for on the staff that on one day, is that what we're saying? Right, because it's not at the same time, is it? Or is it?
Well, it probably is, because I don't recall the time, I don't recall the time exactly, but we have a 5:30 meeting in here, and a 6:30 meeting in here,
got it.
and a
So,
7 o'clock candidate forum out
I
there.
got it.
So it's
Yeah.
probably at the same time.
I can report something kind of cool for the league outreach. So the league also has, would like to get out the information that this is available on the Ripon channel. So they have proposed to Webster's for approval that they're gonna be putting flyers in, you know, the bags when people shop, and it will say that these can be viewed on the YouTube channel, and there, it'll say ideally, if it's approved, the Ripon channel YouTube page.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great.
So on a side note, that is kind of another interesting, maybe unique idea to get our name out there, is, you know, putting flyers in local areas that this is available. The Ripon channel
There's
is,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
That's good.
You know, the ideas come up that we should put a sign out here in the front yard, like a campaign sign. Ripon Channel lives here, 986 and 987 inside.
Is that a good idea?
It would make sense to me. I don't see that, it doesn't hurt us by any means, relatively cheap,
Right.
you know,
How much would it cost? You know?
maybe $100,
Right. I haven't bought a sign for a while, but it can't be too much.
maybe.
Probably the setup is going to be the big expense.
So we might have some stuff, we might have some blanks, so we could use,
I thought we'd just run over the
yeah.
sign shop.
So, I think for us in 2021 as well, and Riley and me have met in collaboration opportunities with us, so we had planned to kind of launch something in the fall with sports, with the radio station and the Ripon channel handling all the broadcasts, radio stations looking for a vehicle to have video for their programming, and you know, why not work with the Ripon channel? I think we've worked out some kind of a, you know, handshake agreement in time when we were set to launch it, and then the school district, you know, decided they weren't gonna play, so we didn't have to really worry about it, but we still can get our things together. I think we can move forward for the spring, maybe return of those things, but the more collaboration opportunities I think we can get, even more to the point of, even if you're just working with the radio stations, or maybe with college or whoever, Bob interviews a lot of people out there. If he would just flip out a camera and record somebody that's maybe in there to talk about, like Jeff Pullman-Becker from the COVID-19 committee, and Jeff's in there, and then we get that video back afterwards, that'd be good stuff to show on there too.
That's great.
You know, so I think there's ways that we can collaborate.
Yes.
Which kind of brings me to a different topic, and I apologize because I just got spitballing this afternoon. I don't know how I feel about the name Cable Advisory Committee anymore, because we're more than that. You know, yes, we're funded by a lot of that, but I think we're more of a community media or community, I would say community media committee more than anything. Because we're not simply only on cable TV anymore. We're, you know, expanding into, you know, the kind of those other realms. So does that name even fit this committee, and does that identity still need to, does it matter or does it not? Maybe I'm overthinking it.
I think you might be onto something, because words matter,
Yeah,
and the way something is named and described, maybe immediately, the first time someone says it, maybe it doesn't make a difference, but over the course of a week or a month or a year, it matters.
I talk
The
to
way you
people about
describe something matters.
being on the Cable Advisory Committee, they're like, oh, what's that? You set the rates for cable TV? No, we don't do that at all.
No, not really.
You know, we're trying to make, you know, good quality community access programming, you know, for people to see. So, I mean, maybe that's something we take a look at and say, what's our identity? You know, and we, you know, have this mission now for a couple of years, and, you know, maybe sticking to a better identity as to what we are is something that we need to take a look at. So,
I'm really glad you bring that up, and I think also with so many people, quote unquote, cutting the cord to cable, you know, I think if they don't have cable, they think, well, what do you do that even fits for me then? And I'm not even sure they think about tuning in, which we are talking about all the reasons why they should tune in to our other areas. And also, I did, as someone who myself no longer is a cable subscriber, when I changed that, I asked the cable company, can I still get access to my local cable programming? And they said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And so if our cable company is not even identifying with what we're doing, why are we identifying in some regards with them, other than we wanna make sure that the people that do get that know about the channel that is existing?
But we still wanna get funding too.
Yes, yes.
From the cable subscribers,
Yeah.
so we do have to be a little bit of a,
Right,
comrade to be,
we're just like a sliver on their toe or
I
something.
know, we're
Yeah,
more hindrance, I think, than anything for them
right,
right now.
yes.
Jason,
Yeah.
I really like this idea of changing our name. We talked about media in our mission statement. I think it just feels more now.
Yeah.
I think cable feels like grandma watching it on the floral couch.
It's not like proactive by any means,
No,
it's
yeah.
not like future seeing. It seems very stale and very, very dormant, to me, and it doesn't really explain what we do. You know, a community media committee
Like it.
maybe is a better way to look at what we're trying to do, or community, you know, media access committee, or whatever it might be. But there's probably other colorful, you know, things that we can call it, but it might be something to take a look at. And I don't know what that means for the city on how they go about changing that, if that's a simple, you know, thing that we can do, or if that needs to go through council, or how those things go, but I'd like to be interested and find out about it at least.
Can't be that challenging,
It shouldn't be, you know, but,
but there may be some procedural hoops to jump through.
and I'll do some research on some other communities and see what maybe they're kind of calling these, you know, things. So it's just something I've been trying to wrap my head around for a little bit.
I think it's a good idea. I hadn't considered it much myself, but now that you say it, I see what you mean. I think it's a good idea.
It's way more than just, you know, we don't see anything from Spectrum, you know, outside of the money that they have to pay. But it's not like their
Right.
support is there, or
They don't do anything.
right, it's not like they're promoting anything, you know, for us. We appreciate the dollars, of course. They're legally binded to do so, so,
It really isn't even their money.
right.
It's a pass-through.
Right. So I think even more so than that community tie, that community word is
Like it.
even more important for this as we move forward, so.
I like it, and it helps point out some of the resources that we've developed and
And
Or
you're gonna
working able
encourage
to.
more collaboration, I think.
Yeah.
Who wants to work with the cable TV advisory committee?
Great, that's good.
What?
You're here.
Yeah, because I know it's not the cable advisory
point.
committee, you know?
Good point.
So, it's more than that, so. Good. So we are scheduled to meet November 9th, but I think maybe we wanna look at moving in October to take a look at, actually.
Let's do that.
I apologize to those on Zoom, I just picked up my phone, so if it's really loud for a second, I just gotta look at a date, so. Second Monday would be the 12th. I will not be here, so,
October.
yeah. Maybe the 19th, would that work? The 5th would work for me, or the 19th would work for me, but I'm unfortunately out of state on the 12th, so.
Well, that might be okay though, for you.
Anybody have a preference on either one of those dates, the 5th or the 19th?
5th isn't gonna really work too well for me, I don't think.
Maybe the 19th then?
Does it have to be a Monday?
I think that's just kind of the standard day we've stuck with,
It is standard.
yeah.
So, 19th is getting pretty late in the budget process,
Okay.
isn't it? 12th doesn't work, 5,
Well, it's better than wait till November, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
We'll vote in November, right?
is that what it is? Okay, well, let's say 19 then.
Okay.
If that's the time.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause 5 is really not gonna be good for me.
So, those on the Zoom will look forward to, Monday, October 19th as a meeting here, and we'll review some of those budget things, including staff and, payroll on those things. Are we, as an advisory committee, any suggestions that we would make would have to be approved through council, wouldn't they? We don't have the final authority to say that, hey, we can give these people a raise and do it now. That would have to be pushed through to the council before anything.
I think the council would need to approve that.
Okay.
If, well, even,
Or is it just rearranging the budget?
it's essentially rearranging the budget, but even if there's a staff recommendation, the council will still want to approve it.
Okay.
Because it's still a budget item.
Right,
So they're gonna wanna exercise some authority. And there have been times in the past where we've tried to make significant changes to the internal structure, and we've remained inside the framework of the budgetary allocation, and it was still denied.
okay. Well then, yeah, I think
So-
that's,
so
we
we-
can only make the recommendation,
So we should,
so we're not the
let's
final decider.
put some numbers together and make a recommendation.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns for the good of the group today? All right, with it being 4:56, I'll call the meeting to adjourn. So thanks so much, everybody, appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.